Joining me now is news.com.au entertainment reporter Bronte Coy and News Corp columnist Angela Mollard. Ladies, welcome. Bronte, you saw all this unfold over there in the UK. What were the highlights?
Oh, when it comes to pomp and pageantry, no one does it quite like the UK. It was spectacular, and exactly as you said, and with the pictures at the top of the show there, it was just a glorious display of that soft diplomacy. The royal family were absolutely on form. It's really hard to pick a favourite moment, but I've got to say, whenever Princess of Wales steps out among them, she just is fantastic at what she does. She's so engaging. We also are never quite sure if she's going to be taking part in everything. For example, this week we weren't sure if she'd be in at the state banquet, and then of course she turned up, and it was the first time we'd seen her in a tiara for about 18 months. So for me, that was a highlight. I also really enjoyed the speeches between the French President and King Charles, who clearly have a very warm relationship. It was a very tactile visit. You could tell that they were very much enjoying spending time together. But also, and more importantly, this was all with the backdrop of Windsor. And of course, this hasn't happened a lot over the years, because it usually state visits would be at Buckingham Palace, but that's undergoing these extensive refurbishments. So this was all moved to Windsor. And honestly, it just was the most beautiful setting for it, especially with that iconic quadrangle there. And of course, St George's Hall for the state banquet, that 50-metre long table, absolutely spectacular.
It was made for a state visit, and I personally am very glad that there was the location. Angela, a visit like this has so many layers, and obviously we love the royal spectacle part of it, but the geopolitical imperatives obviously just as important. What do you think that this visit was intended to achieve, and do you think it achieved that?
Oh, enormously. I think there was a 100% success rate in that, because beyond the pomp and pageantry, this was a powerful diplomatic gesture. As you said, it is soft power, because it's not an invitation from the Prime Minister. It was from the palace themselves. And of course, this is the first visit by a European state leader since Brexit. So it has enormous significance, particularly at the moment when there are massive issues around migration, around Ukraine, around dwindling American interest in supporting other areas of the world. Having this relationship between France and England, which in the past has been called cordial. King Charles updated that to say that it was an amicable relationship now. Very, very important for Europe to be seen to be united and secure, with as many issues, defence matters, of course, as well, going around on the outskirts. As you know, it's so important that they are a united force, geographically and geopolitically.
Now, Bronte, on to some other sort of diplomacy, and fresh reports that the King and Harry's top aides have held a secret summit. Do we know any of the details?
Yeah, this is very interesting. Of course, we've talked so much about whether a reconciliation will be possible over the many years this rift has been going on. But there are actually now photos of Prince Harry's new Chief Communications Officer, who is US-based, meeting with the King's Chief Communications Secretary and also one of the Sussex's UK-based PR officers. So these three met together. The word on the street over here is it was a very casual drink setting. It was at a private members club, just a stone's throw from Clarence House, which is, of course, the King's London residence. And the three of them got together, and as I said, it was a casual drink, so it doesn't appear that there was a formal agenda. But the very fact that this meeting took place is very interesting, because it is that first real concrete step toward some sort of reconciliation term being met. And it also comes just weeks after Harry openly said in that BBC interview that he really wants to reconcile, that his father isn't speaking to him. And that sent shockwaves around the palace, because there was some quite personal details, including the fact that Harry said he didn't know how long his father had left. But at the same time, perhaps it served as that impetus for them to all get together, get in the same room and start saying, how are we going to end this for good? So that was very interesting. It's also been reported that Harry's Chief Communications Secretary, who was at that meeting, then flew back to the US immediately and reported to Harry, obviously just to let him know the tone of how it all went down. But definitely watch this space, because there it is. You know, it's very clear that the conversations are at least happening, and maybe this will all set the scene for 2 years down the road when the Invictus Games is on.